I have a few ball mounts here that I use to connect a monitor, such as the Atomos, to my camera. I was dabbling with different ones. I never found the right kind of ball mount to put on to mount my Ninja to my GH5S, the cage. I'll go through the evolution of all of my choices here. Let's see. At the beginning, to get this mount onto the hot shoe, that's generally where the easiest place to go, unless you have a cage like I do. But later I'll tell you the cage mount I got. But you would just put it on the hot shoe and you would screw some kind of ball mount on. At the very beginning, I had these three types of ball mounts. These are the very cheap ball mounts. This one's made completely out of plastic. Does not hold tension very well. Then I have these two. These are typical ones that you would get if you were buying a light, a little camera, onboard camera light. Usually the manufacturer will throw in one of these little cheap ball mounts. They're made out of some kind of a metal, but the nut here that screws it on is usually plastic. I think, yeah, they're both plastic, and they tend to break or lose their threading over time. And in this case, this one has a 1/4-20. This one doesn't. A lot of the cheaper ones do not have 1/4-20 on the bottom. So if you wanted to screw this onto a light stand or a tripod, you don't have that. And so I was going through these, but these were kind of a pain in the neck, because you would screw this on here and you'd have the articulation. But the biggest problem is that once you put it on the hot shoe here and you screw it on, the tightening mechanism is not a good engineering, because it never stays very tight, especially when you have a heavier monitor like the Ninja 5. You throw on one of these larger Sony batteries on here, plus the SSD caddy, and then you got a pretty hefty piece of gear that is almost the same weight as the camera. So I use these. These are no good. Then I wanted to step up my game, thinking, yeah, if I get a more robust ball mount, like this Manfrotto 492 LCD, this puppy will definitely hold the weight, because this is one of the sturdiest ball mounts. This is like $50 at the time I got it. I don't know how much it is now. It doesn't have 1/4-20 on the bottom, but this is a very thick, heavy ball mount. So you screw this on here, and it's locked in. You could just feel the weight of this, of how durable this is. That's not moving very much. But since this is so heavy and the monitor is so heavy, it's not a good ergonomic design. It's just gonna fall over, tip over. And when you want to adjust things, you have to take the lever and adjust the ball mount, then tighten it. And then every time you tighten it here, it loosens up the connection to the hot shoe, and it's just, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you've used ball mounts like this. Then I got this cage. And with the cage, you have these nano rails here. And this is a small rig cage. Small Rig, I believe, makes the best affordable cages. And they have their own release here. This one is I'll put a link below of what this model is. But you have a better connection, an easier way to connect the monitor to the mount here. I'm just going to remove the battery just for demo purposes. And you screw it on. You don't have to do a bunch of twisting to any twisting here. It's just twist from this knob here. And then with an Allen wrench, there's a groove here that you could stick it in and tighten it even more. So you get this really, really tight on there. Tight and locked, because you don't want it to twist. You don't want this to twist back and forth. All right? And then now, nano rail clamp. And once you slide it in, you lock it. That is in the lock position. And now there you go. It's locked in. And it's a very, very thick mount here. There's a lot of tension. And if it's not enough tension, you have Allen keys with an Allen key. you can loosen up the tension so that way it's looser or tighter depending on the weight of the monitor. So for the longest time, this was a great setup right here. This was actually the best setup. So you can go traditionally forward and back. But you can't go from side to side. So if I wanted to flip it into selfie mode, this doesn't turn 360. So I wanted to get something else to enable for me to do that. Then I got something a little smaller. There's different variations of this particular mount. So this one goes on, and you have a screw here at the bottom, which is a little different from the ball. See, it's a little different from the ball mount because the ball mount you have to screw the entire ball mount. But here, there's a wheel that you can screw it in to tighten it. And that's locked in as good as it can be. There's other models that have an Allen key that you can tighten it, but this one doesn't have that. And then you put this one on the hot shoe, just like you do the other ones. And when that goes into the hot shoe here, oh, and you also have an Allen key to tighten the tension here. But what you get here is you can get back and forth and then 360. It does all of that. And you can see it's still connected. Just by me turning it around 360 doesn't loosen the grip. So I was going with this kind of setup, and it was great, but not that durable because of how small it was. This one was a very cheap one. This was, I think, was like $30. So I just wanted to see how that would work by being able to twist it from 360 and going back and forth. This was a good setup. So ultimately, the only next product I had to graduate towards was the official Atomos Atomx. Now this may look as flimsy and cheap as all those other ones that I just showed, but this bad boy right here, this Atomx, is $100. This is 100 beans. Can you believe that? 100 beans? Like I got all of these. If I combine the cost of all of these ball mounts, it doesn't even add up to 100. Or maybe it does. But all of those, this $100. Why is this $100? Why did I shell out $100 for it? And is this worth it? Oh, I'm not sure yet. I'm still been using it. I've used it twice so far, and so far it's so good, but I'm still trying to find why I paid $100 for this. The build quality is amazing. It's very solid metal, aluminum, but it's lightweight. And the party trick with this mount, unlike all of the other mounts, is that this has a detachable base right here. And it has its own type of connection point. So it's not something universal that you can just get with another product and swap it on and off. No, this is proprietary to Atomos. So that goes on and off. And that, I guess, is the game changer. Like, that's the reason why this costs $100. This comes with some Allen keys so you can tighten up the tension. So here's how it works. This was designed for the Atomos recorders. So this is the Ninja V, but you can also use this for the Inferno and for the the 7-inch ones. So you detach it here, and see this indentation. The Atomos has these locking pins so it doesn't twist. And I was wondering, like, oh man, that sucks. It doesn't have that here. It's made for this mount, but it doesn't have that. But the benefit is that you could use this for a lot of other monitors. But because it's flush, or there's a little bit of an indentation here, this, I guess, acts as the stopper, so it does the anti-twist. So what you do is you position it right in the hole here. You tighten that up, but then you also tighten it so close to the monitor. So by doing that, by tightening it close to the monitor, this is the anti-twist. So now you have that on there, and I guess you just leave that on permanently. And when you want to take your monitor on and off, It's just with the switch. Or this button. I don't know why other manufacturers haven't thought of this yet. This seems like such a simple, cheap system, engineering system. So you screw this one in, and unfortunately this doesn't have an extra rod connection where you can really tighten it down, but I guess you don't want to make it too tight to break any components in there. And then now I could just put on the monitor. Swap it in. And it's very sturdy and very light. This ends up being the best of all worlds, even though it's $100. And you can go back, you can go forward, and you could spin it all the way around 360. And you don't lose the tension on the connection point to the hot shoe. Spin it all the way around. Seems to hold it. Let me put on that battery. Yeah. There you go. And then when you want to swap off the monitor, you just pull it like that, and you're good. This is very fast setup. You can go in and out. And you can even just leave this on permanently if this is the camera setup you're always gonna have. But $100, that's an investment. I went through years of this ball mount BS, so I found it to be worth the price to shell out $100. I don't think this is for everybody if you're on the lower end, but for me, you know, I just wanted to end it. I just wanted to pay the price, get the good product, and not have to worry about it ever again. This mount, I believe, is going to last longer than this monitor, and it's going to last longer than this camera. And I think it's, you know, these are like tripods. When you get a good one and you pay the money for a good one, they'll last you for a lifetime.